Super Perfect Cell, a polarizing name in the Dragon Ball Z community, and personally, one of my all-time favorite characters in all of Dragon Ball. Recently, I've been doing a lot of debates against people using Super Perfect Cell, and I think that Cell is a lot stronger than he's been given credit for in the Dragon Ball community. In this video, I will be comparing Super Perfect Cell's strength to two characters, of whom he is often compared against. Those two characters are going to be Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan and Dabura from the Buu saga. Today we're going to find out just how strong is Super Perfect Cell. Now, as you all probably know, when I do these videos, I don't like to ramble or talk for long stretches of time. I like to be as precise and concise as possible. So, rather than giving you a recap of the whole saga or looking at it from a narrative perspective, what I'm going to be doing is going down a few of the feats that Cell has and just kinda explaining to you why I think they're particularly impressive and where I would use these feats to substantiate claims about Cell's strength. So with all that being said and all of the precursors out of the way, let's jump right in. After a short, fairly one-sided battle between himself and Gohan, Cell realizes that it's very unlikely that he's going to win, and he decides to self-destruct, though of course he's able to regenerate. When he returns, this time as Super Perfect Cell, he states that he has powered up like Son Gohan. What this implies is that Cell has reached a level of power that should at least be on par with the Super Saiyan 2 amp that Gohan received, hence the wording powered up like Son Gohan. This supports the idea that Cell should be significantly stronger than his perfect form. Based on the multiplier for Super Saiyan 2, we can say that he is at least 2 times as powerful as his perfect form. This, however, leads me into my next point. The interplay between Super Perfect Cell and Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan is a very important factor that needs to be examined closely in order to determine the levels of power within the arc, and more specifically, Cell's level of power. Most people seem to be in the camp where they claim that Cell was only able to cripple Gohan due to catching him by surprise, and as such, it shouldn't be a feat attributed to Cell. I strongly and wholeheartedly disagree with this interpretation. But rather than me just simply saying let's disagree and leave it at that, let's take a closer look at the exchange, analyze what happens, and maybe see if you can understand where I'm coming from with this disagreement. Now, we see that Gohan is looking towards Vegeta's knocked out body on the ground. The next thing we see is Cell telling Vegeta to disappear, obviously telegraphing what he's going to do next. And then we see Gohan rushing in to try and get in the way. Now, two things happen here. One, Gohan is incapable of crossing the distance between himself and Vegeta before Cell's blast is able to get there. And the second thing that happens is that Gohan fails to tank this attack that he knew was coming. There is no evidence that he was caught off guard by the attack, and it's just a blatant failure to cross the distance faster and to tank the attack, which means that we have Super Perfect Cell being able to perform an attack that Gohan is unable to outspeed, and he's able to hit Gohan with enough force to instantly break his arm, make it so it's unusable for the rest of the fight with one casual attack that he didn't even intend for Gohan, but rather was just using to destroy Vegeta. Later on, Gohan even states that best it wouldn't be enough, and as we've gone over previously, this is shown to be true. Know that when Cell first returns to Earth from the afterlife, Gohan's incapable of tanking even one of his attacks that wasn't even meant for him. We also know that when they first go to meet each other in the beam struggle, Piccolo states that Gohan's ki is inferior to Cell's, and Cell is both shown and stated to be pushing Gohan back even with Goku's help. Now, I know there are a lot of people who take contention with the idea that Goku is actually helping him from the afterlife, but crossing the screen now should be pieces of evidence that support my claim that Goku was helping and it wasn't just Gohan alone. in the end, the only reason Cell is beaten by Gohan is because Vegeta distracted him, and Gohan, while amped by Goku, is able to catch Cell off guard, effectively meaning that in all of the confrontations that they had, Gohan was incapable of blatantly overpowering Cell, and Cell was able to overpower and just flat out be superior to Gohan in multiple instances throughout this saga. And now, with all that out of the way, we can move on to Cell versus Dabura. Dabura is always being brought up in comparison to Cell, mostly because of the one statement from Goku where he states that Dabura is about as strong as Cell was. I'm going to be doing a bit of scaling on Dabura's end in order to see just how he stacks up against Super Perfect Cell, and to see if that claim that Goku makes is actually supported by the things that we see within the series. Now, the easiest point of comparison is obviously Gohan. Gohan, when fighting against Cell, was far stronger than the Gohan that fought against Dabura. This is confirmed and parroted by many of the characters in the series, most prominently Vegeta. Even Gohan himself admits that he can't reach the level he was at when fighting against Cell, and the Daizenshu confirms that due to a lack of anger and training, he is incapable of reaching the same battle power that he used when he was able to defeat Cell. We also know that Gohan was stated to be superior to Dabura in terms of raw battle power. This completely contradicts the idea that Dabura is as strong as Cell, or at least as strong as Super Perfect Cell. Super Perfect Cell has greater feats than Dabura across the board. There are really no arguments that can be made for Dabura being able to defeat Cell, as the scaling is pretty much definitive, at least the scaling that I have presented within this video. So, in conclusion, Super Perfect Cell should be at least somewhat relative to Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan, if not stronger than him outright. Dabura, due to being weaker than an older, weaker Gohan, Super Perfect Cell should easily scale above him, and as such, a fight between the two should be fairly one-sided in Cell's favor. Now, of course, the video was merely discussing the power aspect. There are things such as hacks and their fighting skill that can be taken into account when talking about a versus battle between these two characters. However, all I wanted to say was I think that Cell is downplayed a lot, and I think that the Cell versus Dabura thing should be pretty much put to rest, and even if it's not completely put to rest and people still want to argue it, it should be a fairly uphill for the Dabura side to win, especially if you were to take all the evidence that I took within this video. And with all that being said, this is another scaling video from AeroFlame. I'll catch y'all later.
Hello everyone, it's AeroFlame once again. I know you guys are probably like, stop talking, please. but if you like the style of today's video, go down. There will be a link down below to the editor of the video, Crisis. He makes great videos about things like Metal Gear Solid and Star Wars, so if those things interest you, and if you particularly like the style of this video, then I think that you'll love his channel. So if you could pop on over to his channel and give him a subscription, I would really appreciate it. Yep.